On February 28, 2026, Israel and the United States launched a war against Iran, backing Hezbollah. In response, Hezbollah resumed rocket strikes on March 2, reigniting a long-simmering conflict. Israel responded with airstrikes across Lebanon, including Beirut, and began ground operations on March 16. Deploying 5 full divisions, the assault shattered the fragile November 2024 ceasefire agreement. That agreement had been repeatedly violated, with Israeli strikes killing over 100 civilians beforehand. The human toll is catastrophic. At least 2,055 people have been killed, including 87 medical workers. Among the dead are 252 women and 165 children, with nearly 6,600 people wounded. Over 1.3 million people, 1/6 of Lebanon's population, have been forced to flee their homes. More than 40,000 homes are destroyed, and key bridges have been blown up to isolate the south. The World Food Program warns that Lebanon now faces a full-scale food insecurity crisis. Operation Eternal Darkness, Israel's deadliest day. The single most devastating episode of the Lebanon War came on April 8, the very same day the US-Iran ceasefire was announced. Israel launched what it called the most strong attacks across Lebanon, killing at least 357 people in one day. This marks the highest single-day death toll of the entire conflict. The attacks, dubbed Operation Eternal Darkness, included 100 airstrikes in just 10 minutes, hitting densely populated areas of southern Lebanon, central Beirut, the southern suburbs, Sidon, the Bekaa Valley, and Tyre. The attacks also struck central Beirut without prior warning. Lebanon called it Black Wednesday and accused Israel of carrying out a massacre. Hospitals in Beirut were flooded with casualties, and medical centers issued urgent appeals for blood donations. Medical supplies ran dangerously low as the American University of Beirut Medical Center struggled to keep up. The attacks triggered international fury, with over 20 countries and the UN condemning the strikes. Following the strikes, Israel announced limited and targeted ground operations in Lebanon, citing the intent to remove threats and create an additional layer of security for residents of northern Israel. Defense Minister Israel Katz mapped out the policy. Where there is terror and missiles, there are no homes and no residents. The IDF will control the security zone up to the Litani River, demolishing border settlements along the way. Netanyahu followed by calling for the creation of a security or buffer zone in southern Lebanon. Israel deployed 5 full divisions into southern Lebanon to enforce this new reality. Israeli media reported the IDF was also preparing a plan to continue operations and ground occupation even after the Iran war ends. The Battle of Bint Jbeil, a war within a war. The fiercest fighting on the ground is currently centered here. This city holds immense symbolic significance, known as the capital of resistance in southern Lebanon. It is where Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah gave his famous victory speech back in 2000. He famously called Israel weaker than a spider's web during that historic moment. A Hezbollah defeat here would powerfully boost Netanyahu's public image and signal a turning point. The IDF's 98th Division has completely encircled Bint Jbeil as part of Operation Silver Plow. Over 100 Hezbollah fighters have been killed in close-quarters combat and targeted airstrikes. Israel also struck and destroyed the iconic stadium where Nasrallah gave his 2000 speech. The 98th Division commander declared, "Bint Jbeil 2000, there was someone here who spoke of webs. Today that man no longer exists, the stadium is gone, and his words are worth nothing." An Israeli military official stated that full operational control will be achieved within days. Despite being significantly weakened, Hezbollah has refused to collapse or withdraw from the area. In a rare interview, a wounded Hezbollah field commander revealed how the group has adapted. He claimed that during the 2024 ceasefire, Hezbollah deceived Lebanon's army with empty boxes. Instead of their real arsenal, they gave them old, defunct weapons to confiscate and destroy. "They didn't confiscate anything. We gave them empty boxes or a few old items," he said. He claimed Hezbollah's weapons were never as depleted as Israel's intelligence initially believed. The group has since rearmed with a mix of imported and domestically manufactured weaponry. As of mid-April, Hezbollah claimed at least 24 attacks on northern Israel in a single day. These attacks involved a combination of rockets, suicide drones, and heavy artillery fire. One rocket recently injured a woman in Nahariya, while others targeted troops in southern Lebanon. 2 IDF soldiers were moderately wounded and 6 others lightly injured in a drone attack. Hezbollah has fired as many as 2,000 rockets into Israel throughout the entire conflict. The battle for Bint Jbeil remains a critical focal point in this ongoing regional struggle. The question of whether Lebanon is covered by the US-Iran ceasefire has become an explosive diplomatic dispute. Pakistan originally indicated Lebanon was included, but the U.S. later changed position after a call between Trump and Netanyahu. Iran has warned that if part of the understanding is violated, they are entitled to reduce their own commitments. Despite the tension, a remarkable moment occurred on April 14th, with the first direct talks in decades. While Israel pressed for Hezbollah to disarm, Lebanon called for an end to the conflict and a ceasefire. Both sides called the talks constructive, even as fighting intensified on the ground during the discussions. With 24 attacks launched that same day, the diplomatic path forward remains incredibly fragile. Hezbollah has strongly opposed any direct negotiations with Israel, calling the upcoming Washington talks pointless. The group has vowed to continue resisting Israeli advances regardless of any diplomatic developments. Influential Shia leaders have echoed this stance, arguing that negotiations should not proceed while civilians are being killed. Parliament Speaker Mohammad Ghalibaf accused the government of being indifferent to the situation in the south. Meanwhile, the government has condemned Hezbollah's strikes, revealing a profound internal fracture within the state. President Joseph Aoun has walked a careful line, welcoming diplomatic openings while condemning civilian casualties. The humanitarian cost is devastating. More than 2,000 Lebanese have been reported killed since early March. Israeli military operations continue even as direct talks take place in Washington. The World Food Program warns of rising prices and inflation as critical shipments remain blocked. The coming days will determine if the Washington talks can open a path toward de-escalation.